Hello everybody, Sparkster1701 here. And a short while back, when I unveiled the new Transformers card game, I got an overwhelming response from many of my viewers asking me if I would show them how to play the game. So, while there are some videos out there already, I'd be more than happy to give all of you my 2 cents on how to play the game. Now, there are already plenty of rules out there covering a basic version of the game, so I'll set it up more to cover a more advanced version, as you would be more common to see, or something that would be more of an option to many of you who have not only picked up the starter set, but have also picked up a few cards of your own. But at any rate, we're going to go over the cards. There are 2 types of cards that are in the Transformer card game. We have your Transformer card, and of course we have your battle cards, which are these smaller cards here. We're going to start by talking about the Transformer card, because I've seen a lot of videos covering these cards, and they really don't tell everything, so we're going to try to see if we can be a little more comprehensive. Alright, the Transformer card, as you can see, is considerably larger than the other cards, and of course, it's also got stuff on the back side of it. The robot mode side is foiled up, whereas the alt mode side is not. Up here at the top is where it gives the robot's name, and the color behind it denotes its faction. If the color is red, it's an Autobot. If it's purple, it's a Decepticon. And of course, you've got 2 bits to the name. You got the large print, which is the given name of the character, and you have a little bit of subtext underneath it. This subtext denotes a different version of the character, as especially with Optimus here. There are 3 different Optimus Primes available in the game. So having these different subtext underneath denotes a different version of the character. So in a technical version, you could have all 3 of these guys on your team. You just can't have the same of this one. You can't have 2 Autobot leader on your team. You'd have to have another one. So don't bother saving up duplicates of your Transformers. Trade them off to get yourself some new cards. Now, underneath, at the top of the picture, this is one thing that most of the other reviewers have never mentioned. We have some traits listed here. As you can see here on Optimus, it has leader and ranged. Now, when we turn him over to the alternate mode, he still has leader, but he gains truck. And instead of ranged, he is melee. Now, these traits affect certain battle cards and even certain abilities on certain Transformers. So, you'll want to pay attention to what you do have and what you don't have in those when you're constructing your decks, as certain ones of your cards will only be playable on characters that have these specific traits. So make sure you're looking for that, but also be aware that there are some enemies that will have things that can be used against you for simply possessing certain traits. So be on the lookout for those. Down here at the bottom of the picture are the vital statistics for your character. Of course, down here in between them, they list what mode he's in. Right now this is bot mode, and then for the vehicle mode it's listed as alt mode, since we do have Dinobots and Insecticons in this game. Okay, drop the card on the floor. Let's try this again. Alright, pay attention now to these three boxes. These are the vital statistics for your Transformer. The red one, of course, is your health. That's how much damage the character can take before he is knocked out. And that remains the same on both sides of the card. The other two can change. As you can see, he's got an 8 attack and a 2 defense on this side. But on the other side, it goes to a 6 attack and a 3 defense. Of course, you do have this little box here beneath the defense that shows you what the stats are for the other mode. So you have that handy in case you to help decide if you want to change modes. Now, when you're attacking, you'll use this orange box, which has your attack modifier. You will add that number to any weapons that are placed on the character card, plus from any cards that you draw during your attack mode. Consequently, when you're defending, you'll take this number in the blue box, add it to any armor that you've added to the character, plus add it to any more cards that you draw when you're defending. Naturally, of course, if the attack is higher than the opponent's defense, you will score that much damage. But also beware of extra abilities down here in this large box, which is the next thing to show off. Down here, underneath all the stats, is a special ability listed for the character. Now, of course, these do differ depending on which mode you're in. Like in this case, Optimus here. After you flip battle cards for this character's attack, and before defense flips, you may play one of the actions you flipped. So if when you flipped out cards to attack your opponent, one of them was an action card, you can play that action before the opponent draws any cards to defend. So that can be pretty devastating if you get a good action card to pop up. It's hard to say what might happen. Of course, when he's in alt mode, when you flip to this mode, return an action from your scrap pile to your hand. So if you recently played a good action card, you might want to transform back into the truck briefly, long enough to scoop that card back up into your hand to play it again. Now down at the bottom, we have different things on the different side. On the robot side, you have the set number for the cards. Of course, right over here it says Wave 1, so you know this is part of the first wave. Because I'm sure with how difficult it's getting to find these cards, there will be a second wave, and hopefully more. And likely with this being Optimus, if there was 3 in this batch, we will likely see more Optimus Primes in the near future, especially if they cover some of the other Transformers media. Then down here you get a series of letters. The T here is something you can ignore. The R here discusses rarity. As you can see, since this is an R, it lists him as rare. The other letters include C for common, U for uncommon, and SR for super rare. And there are only 4 super rare cards in the series. 2 of them, Cliffjumper and Slipstream, were available as specialty cards at Gen Con and San Diego Comic-Con, so they are very expensive to obtain. The other 2 is a version of Bumblebee and Nemesis Prime, and you can find those in booster packs. Then, of course, it gives what number he is. This version of Optimus is number 29 out of a total of 40. On the back side, in his alternate mode, is another set of stars. This is what you use to build your team up. Your team can consist of 25 stars. So, this version of Optimus has 13 stars. So, this Optimus will cost you more than half your team to deploy. So, you'll definitely want to build a team around this character. He's going to be your powerhouse, but you're going to want to make one or two other guys to have with you. 13 stars is about the most expensive. They do go down to at least a minimum of 5 stars. But don't get any plans on making a team of 5 Transformers. There are currently only 3 5-star characters. And since you can't reuse any of them, it'll be another expansion before we can have a team of 5 robots. So for the time being, expect your teams to average out to about 2 or 3 Transformers. Now let's move on to the battle cards. There are 2 types of battle cards available. There are upgrade cards, and there are action cards. Action cards you can play at specific times during the game, and you basically follow what it says down here at the bottom. In this case, incoming transmission says for you to draw 2 cards, and then you put a card from your hand on top of your deck. This can be very useful because of these squares here at the top, and I'll discuss that in a moment. Next, you have your upgrade cards. The reason I have 3 here is the fact that there are 3 different upgrades. And they all list it here, right above the text. You have weapon, you have armor, and you have utility. Each Transformer can hold 1 of each of these on him as equipment. And of course you would put them underneath him, keeping them poked out so that you can see that you have them. And just remember to check them to make sure you know that what bonuses you are gaining. Now we'll take a brief look at what we've got here. This weapon, it's a grenade launcher. Down here at the bottom it has +4 attack. So, if we equip this onto Optimus Prime, it would add 4 to his attack, thus making his robot mode's attack +12. Or in the case of his truck, it would be +10. So you'd have a pretty devastating attack here. But of course, the big catch to this is that once you've attacked with this, the card is discarded. So it's a one-shot dealie, so make it count. This is an armor upgrade, and instead of having a blue box in here, this force field card allows you to reduce the damage by 1 if you're getting hit with 5 or more damage. If you're going to take 5 or more damage, you can throw away this card and only take 4 damage. Something that would come in handy if you're dealing with a guy that has Pierce. That's a special ability that is very nasty, folks. Then, of course, you also have utilities that pretty much grant you any sort of special abilities. Like this one, Crushing Size. When you put this on a character, you can force an enemy to scrap one of his utilities. And if you can't do that, you draw a card. And it gives this character Pierce 1, so that he does 1 damage at least when attacking, but not more than the total of his attack. The thing that makes this nasty is this here. Pierce numbers add together. So that can be devastating. Now, of course, if you don't like any of these that you've equipped to your Transformer, you can replace them by scrapping them out with a new one. But they can only hold 1 of each of these. There is 1 Transformer that can hold more than 1 weapon. And I know some of you might want to know who that is. It probably shouldn't come as any surprise. It's Megatron. Living Weapon Megatron can have a weapon in all 3 slots. So he doesn't need armor or a utility. But as you can imagine, that's pretty devastating for our favorite Decepticon leader. Now, let's whip up a quick team and let's show off a basic battle. Okay, we've got a basic thing going here. I gave each of them a jet character to go along with it. Optimus has Jetfire, and Megatron has Starscream. To start the game, you have your characters in alt mode. So as you can see, they're all in their alt modes. And you would also have yourself. We're kind of doing this as a funky thing here, folks, so bear with it. You have a deck of cards. The bare minimum that you are to have is 40 battle cards. That's just the minimum. There is no set maximum yet. I imagine further down the road there might be, but you must have at least a minimum of 40 cards. Now, of course, depending on what characters you have as your team, you may want more cards in your deck, you may want just 40. We'll discuss that in a future video if there's enough demand for my thoughts and opinions in this game. But at any rate, this is how we started out. All of your guys will be in alt mode, and you shuffle your deck and place it face down off to the side. The instructions now suggest that you randomly determine which player goes first. Hasbro's official videos use rock, paper, scissors as the means of determining who goes first. But of course you can also flip a coin or keep some dice handy and roll odd or even or whatever random way you wish to use. Just whatever you players can agree on. Use that to determine who goes first. And of course, every new game, switch who goes first. Every player then will draw 3 cards from their deck. 1, 2, 3. Now, this is just a deck of scrap cards for me, so don't get any ideas from it. Now, when you're playing an advanced game to start it off, we'll say that the Autobots go first. So, for that, they get to draw one. They get to start it off by drawing a card. And then, Optimus and Jetfire can then attack, if they so choose. Then on the second turn, basically, the Decepticon player would be allowed to draw a card, and then he can play either an action or an upgrade. So basically, he'd have to choose, do I play this action card, or do I play a utility on my characters? And that would be the end of that. Then, of course, after he's done that, then the Decepticons can attack. After that, after the first 2 turns, then you basically can do anything in any order after you've drawn your card. On turn 3, you would start by drawing a card. And then you can decide, do you transform one transformer? And then you have the option of playing both one action and one upgrade. And then you can attack. Now, let's show off a little bit of an attack. We're going to have Optimus attack Megatron. So we'll take a look here at their statistics. Optimus here has an attack of 8. Megatron has a defense of 2. We're not going to put any upgrades on either one of them, just to keep it simple. I would reach over here to my deck, and I would draw 2 cards. Now this is where those little colored squares came into play earlier, like this one here. Since Optimus is attacking, he is going to want to get as many of these orange ones as possible to boost his attack. Unfortunately, what Optimus drew did not give him any, so Optimus gains no bonus to his attack. Megatron now draws 2 cards to see if he gets any blue squares. And of course, in this instance, Megatron did not get any blue squares. So in this instance, Optimus would end up doing 6 damage to Megatron. Basically, 8 attack minus 2 defense equals 6 damage to Megatron. Let's see here in this if I can show off something with a blue. There we go. There's a blue square right there. That would be one of them that Megatron would have hoped to have drawn. Now, of course, there is also the opportunity to draw white squares. If you end up drawing a white square during your turn, you get to draw more cards. You can draw more cards. If you end up drawing a white square, you can draw 2 more cards. But you can only do that once per turn. So bear that in mind and try to be strategic about how you do that. Then, of course, after you've done that, we will turn Optimus to the side to tap him to state that Optimus has taken his turn. And then now play will go over to the Decepticon team. And that's basically the general idea as to how the game is played. Of course, the game comes with damage counters in the starter set. You get a card like this. It's got all 1s on the one side. On the back of them, you got different denominations to help. Me, I intend to use some 20-sided dice, because I do have plenty of them left over from Star Wars minis, and they're not getting played with, so they'll come in handy for that. Probably should go up to my lodge and buy some this weekend. That way I have a few spares and get a dice bag to keep them in. That way I can also use them to settle some disputes. And no, I don't mean by settling disputes by smacking the other person in the head with them. Don't ever do that, folks. That's not encouraged. But at any rate, that's the basics for playing an advanced Transformers game. I hope all of you out there enjoyed this video. I am considering doing other videos. I am considering doing reviews of the cards. I do have all the battle cards, except for the two that came with Cliff Jumper and Slipstream. I don't have that yet. But I am working on trying to get that. I am working on trying to get all the Transformers. When I have all of them, I'm very tempted to do a review to show off to everybody what every card is and give you my thoughts on the cards. If that's something you'd all like to see, please say so in the comments down below. And if you have any other suggestions for Transformer card game videos, please also state that down there in the comments below. I do read the comments. I do give feedback to those that do submit comments. So please do share your thoughts down there, and we'll go from there. This is Sparkster1701 saying I will catch you all later.